Sushruta for NEET is now available on the Google Play Store. Try it out for free.
My dear students, hearty welcome to JnanaMarga URA biology class. We shall now continue with decomposition under this chapter ecosystem. You know, the word is very simple. Decompose. You know very well. Decomposition is nothing but whenever the plants and animals die, the dead body undergoes decaying. Decaying is nothing but the decomposition. How the body undergoes decaying? It is because of two important organisms. One is the bacteria and another one is the fungi. But along with these bacteria and fungi, there are so many other organisms also involved in this process of decomposition. Which is another animal playing very important role in decomposition? You know, your friend, my friend, farmer's friend, that is earthworm. So whenever we speak about decomposition, the immediate animal that comes to the mind in general, that is comparatively of a bigger size, is the earthworm. Earthworm is always referred to as farmer's friend. You know, earthworm mainly decomposes the litters, decaying plant materials. So, why that earthworm is called farmer's friend? This is so because they help, earthworms help in the breakdown of complex organic matter. Where this complex organic matter is present, this complex organic matter is present in the body of the decaying organism. It breaks these earthworm help in the breakdown of complex organic matter. At the same time, it also helps in loosening of the soil. If you look at the earthworm, the first and foremost part of the earthworm, can anyone tell me what is the first part of the earthworm? It starts with the P. Let me know whether anyone knows about that. What is that segment called? Anyone?
Pharynx, sir.
Pardon?
Pharynx.
No. It starts with P. R. O. Vismita. Yes. Nadira. Savitri.
Yes, sir.
Huh? Namrata. Diti. Pratyuraj.
Prostomium.
Who said it? You are right. You are right. Whose voice it is? Hello?
Namrata, sir.
Namrata. Prostomium. Through this prostomium, earthworm probes the soil. Earthworm probes the soil. It passes through the soil. Thereby, it loosens the soil. Tanu, understood? thereby it loosens its oil. So therefore, it is called farmer's friend. It breaks down the complex organic matter present in the dead body of plant material. Similarly, decomposers break down complex organic matter into inorganic substances. What this complex organic matter consists of? Where it is present in the body of the plants and animals? Come on. What do you call this complex organic matter? Sarvottam, Siddesh, Harshavardhan, Charan, Chinmay.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me what is this complex matter? Complex organic matter. Vishwas.
Yes, sir.
Pardon? Navya.
Yes, sir.
What is that? Where is this organic matter in the body of the organism? Anyone? Nadira, Jayasri, Tanusri, Savitri, Kavita. Kavita, are you there? Janani? Janani, can you tell me?
Sir, I don't know.
Amrita, Diti, Rakesh, Pratyuraj, Lohit. Hello.
Sir, is it protein, carbohydrates?
Why not? Who is telling this?
Sir, it's Susmita.
Yeah, it is. Carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, nucleic acids, these are the organic matter present in the protoplasm. Whenever the decomposers act on that, the decomposers break down complex organic matter into inorganic substances. Right? Sarvottam, Siddesh,
Yes, sir.
have you taken down these points?
Yes, sir. Taking, sir.
What are the organic substances? Please make it a point. Whenever you don't know, whenever you come to know what is it, immediately you should note down, others you'll forget. Am I right, Aditi?
Yes, sir.
So this complex organic matter is converted to simple inorganic substances. What are they? They are carbon dioxide, water, and nutrients. And the process is called decomposition. I hope you have heard about the macronutrients, micronutrients. Whether it is taught to you, mineral nutrition in the plants in the last year. Whether it is taught to you, mineral nutrition in the last year. Navya.
Yes, sir.
Whether this chapter is taught to you in the botany in the last year.
No, sir.
No.
Sir, I think it was under the deleted portion.
But the deleted portion is there for NEET. It is there for NEET. Last year it was there. This year also it will be there. Okay? So this is what? In the mineral nutrition, you come across two types of nutrients, what is called macronutrients. Forget about the mineral nutrition. Have you not heard about this macronutrients and micronutrients in chemistry? Janani?
Heard, sir.
Have you heard about this? No? Have you learnt about the macro and micronutrients in chemistry?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So these nutrients are formed. If you want to know macronutrients, KCN CHOPS manager. KCN CHOPS manager. You know what is that? What is the KCN? What is KCN? Is it very sweet? Can you eat it? Rakesh? 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 Prithviraj? Prithviraj?
Yes, yes, sir.
What is KCN?
Potassium cyanide, sir.
Is it good?
No, sir.
Why? Can we eat? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Can we eat?
No, sir.
Why? What happens if you eat? Jyoti,
Yes, sir.
what happens if you eat? You don't know?
No, sir.
Namrata?
We will die, sir.
Why?
It is poisonous.
It is poisonous. Prithvi, Prithvi,
Yes, sir.
you don't know that it is poisonous? Potassium cyanide is a deadly poisonous chemical. KCN chops. What do you mean by chops? Cut to the head. Whose head? Manager's head. Why? For not giving a loan. What are these KCN chops, MG? These are macronutrients. Like that, I will give you another mnemonic for micronutrients later. Okay. So here, what are these? K, C, N, C, H, O, P, S, M, G. All these are macronutrients. Like that, you have BCCI. Okay. For micronutrients also. So in this way, we have these decomposers to break down the organic substances into inorganic substances. And the process is called decomposition. Every time any organism dies, the body undergoes decomposition. Dead plant remains, such as leaves, dead plant remains. Dead plant remains, that is the body of the plant. After death, it is called dead plant remains, such as leaves, bark, flowers, and dead remains of animals, including fecal matter, constitute detritus. Always ask a question, what it is detritus? Dead plant remains of the leaves, bark, flowers, and dead remains of the animals, including fecal matter, constitute detritus, which is a raw material for decomposition. So first you come across the detritus formation. Whatever you see, these leaves, plant materials, flowers, etc., as soon as it rains, you see that it is becoming a little bit rotten. That is the detritus. Dead remains of spider, dead remains of scorpion, dead remains of cockroach-like creatures, so many insects, etc., etc. These all constitute what is called a detritus, and detritus is the raw material for decomposition. That means your decomposers, they act on this detritus. The important steps in the process of decomposition are, you must know very well, fragmentation, leaching, catabolism, humidification, and mineralization. What are the steps? The steps involved in decomposition are fragmentation. The dead body of the plant and animal, it should undergo pieces. The whole body cannot undergo decomposition. For that purpose, the body should be chopped into small pieces. So, this is the first step. The important steps in the process of decomposition are fragmentation, I will explain everything, leaching, catabolism, humidification, and mineralization. Have you understood whatever we have studied so far? It's very important. I started with the decomposition. I said that decomposition is nothing but breaking down of the complex organic matter. In this breaking down of the complex organic matter, the main role is played by our friend Earthworm. It also loosens the soil. Therefore, it is called farmer's friend. And during this decomposition, complex organic matter present in the body of the plants and animals gets converted into inorganic substances like a carbon dioxide, water, and nutrients, minerals, nutrients. And this process is called decomposition. Decomposition starts with the detritus. What is the detritus? Detritus is the dead plant remains, which includes your stem, root, leaves, flowers, fruits, dead animals, and their fecal matter. The important steps in the process of decomposition are fragmentation, leaching, catabolism, humidification, and mineralization. Clear? Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Who will tell these steps? Quick, who will tell these steps? Come on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Come on. Tanusri. Come on. Who is that? Yes, fragmentation.
Leaching,
Yeah.
catabolism,
Hmm.
humidification, mineralization.
Whose voice it is?
It's Vismita, sir.
Very good, Vishwita. So, now let us look into these one by one. Detritive ores. So, decomposition starts with the detritus. Detritus is nothing but the dead remains of the plants and animals. So, earthworm is the best first detritive ore. What do you mean by detritive ore? Detritive ore is the organism which breaks down detritus into what? Into smaller particles. When earthworm feeds on that, it cuts this, it acts on this dead plant remains, breaks down into small particles. This process is called fragmentation. So, which plays important role in fragmentation? Earthworm-like creatures. So, since they break down the detritus, they are called detritivores. Kavita, understood?
Yes, sir.
Next step is leaching. By the process of leaching, what is leaching? In the leaching, water-soluble inorganic nutrients go down into the soil, into different layers of the soil, what you call soil horizon. Horizon means layers. If you look at the soil you know very well, the soil what you see at the surface and what you see about 1 or 2 feet, 2 feet deep, if at all you go little by little, there will be different types of soil. The grain size will be different. Porosity will be different. So, by the process of leaching, the water-soluble inorganic nutrients go down into the soil horizon and get precipitated as unavailable salt. This is what is called leaching. So when the earthworm acts on this detritus, when the dead body plants and remains gets fragmented, at the same time, because of the rainfall and the rainwater and all, whatever the inorganic nutrients that are soluble in water, this water along with the dissolved nutrients, it goes down and this process is called leaching. Charan, clear? Bacteria and fungal enzymes now come into picture. Bacteria and fungal enzymes are enzymes secreted by the bacteria and fungi. Bacteria and fungi. These degrade detritus into simpler inorganic substances. Earthworms have found this fragmentation. Detritus is acted upon by this detritive worm. So fragments are formed. At the same time, when these, please remember, all these, whatever I have said, what are the 5 steps? First,
Fragmentation.
Next, leaching. Next, catabolism. Next,
Humidification.
next,
Mineralization.
these steps, don't think that these steps take one by one. All these 5 steps take place simultaneously, not one waiting for another one. When earthworm is doing this break down the complex systems into small particles, so fragmentation, then leaching, then this enzyme action, all this take place and this process is called catabolism. Whenever these bacteria and fungi act on those substances, they act on those substances because they want to get food for them. It is not that they want to help you. They want to get the energy for themselves. At that time, they secrete enzymes on that. They make use of whatever that is getting dissolved for their purpose. And this is what is called catabolism. It is important to note that all the above steps in decomposition operate simultaneously on the detritus. Understood? Look here. You see one particular leaf falling down. One particular leaf to fall down. One particular leaf to fall down. So, when this leaf is falling down on the ground, earthworm may come and eat that. Some are eaten by insects. Some are eaten by earthworm-like animals. Insects are also animals. There are so many different creatures to feed on that. Your snails, slugs, so many are there. So these are eaten by insects and other animals. Nutrients and energy enter into food web, it enters into their body. See, a caterpillar larva is eating insect, eating the leaf. At the same time, sometimes what happens, you see, leaves are partially consumed by decomposed fungi, such as fungi and bacteria. They begin to lose form and become little small particles. Earthworm may eat that, snail may eat that, slug may eat that, insect may eat that. So many come into picture, they eat because they want to get the energy. At the same time, the dead remains of the plants, roots, stems, etc., they start undergoing fragmentation on the other hand. At the same time, whenever water is there, some minerals get the nutrients get down, leaching. And also these bacteria, fungi secrete some enzymes, so catabolism is taking place. So what happens? Further decomposition by earthworms, bacteria, soil, matter, etc. Now organic substance, whatever that's formed now, the soil becomes rich with organic matter. That is, whatever the protoplasm contains these all, proteins, carbohydrates, lipids, nucleic acids, etc., it becomes rich in the soil. Some nutrients leach into soil by chemical action also. So this organic substance is again acted upon by some bacteria, fungi, etc., converted it into inorganic substance, and this inorganic substance is absorbed by the roots of the plants. So all this, when they act upon that, the soil becomes rich with organic matter. Rich with organic matter means it becomes rich with proteins, lipids, fats, carbohydrates, nucleic acids, etc. These organic matters again they are acted upon by these bacteria, fungi, etc. It is continuous process. Where it comes, fungi, bacteria fit here and there in different levels. All this ultimately bring about, whether it is the insect, whether it's the earthworm, whatever it may be, all this get involved in decomposition process. As a result of this decomposition process, the complex organic substances, whatever is present in the plant and dead body animals, these organic substances first come and get into the soil. There is bacteria and fungi all act on these organic substances and convert them into inorganic substances, and inorganic substances are absorbed by the plants. Are you following me? Namrata?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Kavita, Janani,
Yes, sir.
Siddesh, Vishwa.
Yes, sir.
So, humidification and mineralization occur during decomposition in the soil. So, we have seen so far fragmentation, leaching, catabolism, then
Humidification.
now you have to look into humidification. So, recall humidification. What is the humidification? Humidification and mineralization occur during the decomposition in the soil. Whatever you have seen the detritus and all, humidification leads to the accumulation of a dark colored amorphous substance called humus that is highly resistant to microbial action and undergoes decomposition at an extremely slow rate. Now, I have told you, whenever these earthworm-like creatures, they cut these plant material or animal material into small fragments. These small fragments, whatever is found, no doubt, these fragments are nothing but a part of the detritus. What is the detritus, I said? Detritus is nothing but the dead remains of the plants, animals, along with the fecal matter and all. It is the detritus. Detritus is acted upon by. Detritus means whatever you see on the surface of the soil. You see dead plant material that sometimes are rotting, sometimes are dried up, and all. They are all detritus. Whatever that you see on the surface soil. These detritus are acted upon by these so many organisms. They feed on that. Of course, whenever they feed on that, they want a little bit of moisture in that. Dry one they won't eat. Absolutely dry detritus they can't digest. So whenever they feed upon that, these all get small particles acted upon by bacteria, fungi, etc. And as a result of this, you will see formation of a dark colored amorphous substance. If you observe any particular area, I hope you see you have to move a little bit away from the township. If you go to any village, if there is a small land with all these fallen leaves and all, if you look at it, you will feel that there is a little bit of powdering of these materials in the small form. That is what is called amorphous. Once it's a leaf, root, stem, flower, dead body of the animals are all, they undergo detrification by the detritor. Whenever these detritus are acted from that, then you cannot make out whether it's a root remaining, whether it's a shoot, whether it's a leaf, whether it's the animal body. No, you can't make out because they all got powdered. This powdered form, whatever you come across, that is a humus. If you go to forest, you get to see that you get some loose material. That is the humus, dark colored one. Humidification leads to accumulation of a dark colored amorphous substance called humus that is highly resistant to microbial action It is already bacteria and fungi, whatever they have acted, they have already acted upon that, and it has resulted in the humus amorphous substance. There is no form. You can't make out with the remaining of dead remains of the plant, dead remains of the animals, you can't make out anything because it has become humus. Humus is an amorphous substance. There is no form to that. And what is the peculiarity of that? It is highly resistant to microbial action. You can have that humus once it formed perfectly humus. It undergoes decomposition at an extremely slow rate. Simply telling this in your Kannada language, Kannada word, Kadu Mannu. Tanusri, Kadu Mannu. Have you seen it's a Kadu Mannu at the Kaimara? Tanusri?
Yes, sir.
Why I said Kaimara?
It's in Tirthali only.
It is Tirthali. Why that Kaimara? It is a Tanusri's place. Have you seen that Kadu Mannu there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this humidification leads to accumulation of dark colored amorphous substance called humus that is highly resistant to microbial action. Remember, just for formation of humus, 1 foot, 1 foot deep, 1 foot, 1 foot, 1 foot, 1 foot. This much of humus to get formed, 1 foot, 1 foot. Of course, this has not become 1 foot. Okay, I have to write like this. Just to form 1 foot, 1 foot, cube foot of humus, it requires 1000 years just for the formation of 1 cube foot of humus. It requires 1000 years. Therefore, you can imagine how much rich is humus in the forest. Being colloidal in nature, it serves as a reservoir of nutrients. Therefore, what we do, what farmers do, Tanusri, what at the village side farmers to do? Tanusri,
Yes,
you
sir.
don't know? Are you there?
Yes, sir.
They collected this humus from the forest and put it to their agriculture land. Am I right? Am I right? Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the humus is further degraded by some microbes and the release of inorganic nutrients occur by the process known as mineralization. Once this humus is formed, it again undergoes degradation by some microbes like again bacteria and fungi very slowly, and this process is called mineralization. Understood? Understood? And these minerals are available to the plants for photosynthesis. Have followed? Shall we continue? Nadira?
Yes, sir.
Okay? Right? Aisha, have you come? Blessy, have you come? Canisa, have you come? No problem. Decomposition is largely an oxygen requiring process. Lohit, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Now, why you are late? Decomposition.
Sir, no, sir, I've joined before.
Pardon?
I've joined it 5 times.
Decomposition is largely an oxygen requiring process. Remember, the rate of decomposition is controlled by chemical composition of detritus and climatic factor. Dead body of all animals, dead body of all plants, they do not undergo decomposition at the same rate. Decomposition, as I said, it requires oxygen. And decomposition always depends upon or related to what is the composition of the detritus. You know, detritus is the raw material for decomposition. Lohit,
Yes, sir.
what is the detritus? What is the detritus?
The raw material for decomposition.
Raw material, but what is it made up of? You came late, at that time we are not there. So as you know, detritus is nothing but, what is the definition? Vismita,
Yes, sir.
what is the detritus?
Dead organic matter of plants and animals.
Animals including
Fecal matter.
fecal matter. So detritus is the raw material for decomposition, and we have seen now in this decomposition we have studied what all? We have studied the fragmentation, we have studied the leaching, we have studied the catabolism, we have studied the humidification, and we have studied the mineralization. And these minerals, sometimes what happens, decomposition is based on what is the composition of the detritus. And also it is based on certain climatic factors. In a particular climatic condition, decomposition rate is slower if detritus is rich in lignin and chitin. Rich in lignin and chitin, decomposition is faster if the detritus is rich in nitrogen and water-soluble substances like sugar. Very important. Very important. Decomposition rate is slower if the sometimes the plants are made up of lignin. You heard about the flowing material and all. Some of the insects' body is made up of covered by chitin. Chitin's cover. And these always undergo decomposition slower. But if the body is made up of, or if the detritus is rich with the nitrogen and water-soluble substances like sugar, the decomposition rate is faster. Temperature and soil moisture are the most important climatic factors. When we say about climatic factor, it is the temperature and soil moisture that regulate the decomposition through their effects on the activities of soil microbes. I said, completely dry matter, it will not undergo decomposition quickly. If it is a little bit wet, that means, as I said, soil moisture and temperature, these are the most important climatic factors that regulate decomposition through their effects on the activities of soil microbes. Warm and moist, another important sentence. Warm and moist environment favors decomposition, whereas low temperature and anaerobic condition inhibit decomposition. Always I have told you, decomposition requires oxygen. If it is anaerobic condition, if it is low temperature, always the decomposition is less. Inhibit decomposition resulting in buildup of organic material. Many times you see that organic material getting accumulated on the roadside, getting you very foul smell when you move through that, because it is not getting decomposed properly. If at all it gets decomposed properly with the proper temperature, high temperature moisture, decomposition takes place very quickly. Whenever these all garbages are dumped there, they don't get sufficient light there, they don't get sufficient oxygen there, moisture there, so decomposition takes place very slowly, building up the organic material. Understood? Is it clear?
Yes,
Is it
sir.
clear? Right? Come on, who will tell me the gist in your own way? Except Vismita. I don't want Vismita. I am angry on her.
Why, sir?
Because you have already answered the question. You are listening to the lecture and you have given the answer. So that's why I am not repeating that question to you. Not that angry. I am happy. Okay? Right. Come on. Quick. You don't expect me to call your name. I am not expecting you to tell the entire whole thing. You can tell certain part, then I'll stop and I'll ask some other to continue. Harshvardhan, are you alright today? Harsha. Harsha. Why don't you unmute the moment I ask you the question? Come on. I will keep quiet until you open your mouth. I want some of you to start answering the question, whatever I have said just now. Just little bit. I don't want to elaborate. Just to tell it in 2-3 sentences. Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yes, Prithvi.
The decomposers break complex inorganic substances into inorganic substance like carbon dioxide, water, and nutrients. And dead remains of plants and animals with fecal matter is called as detritus.
That's okay. Okay. Someone to continue from there. Good, Prithvi. Good.
The important steps of the decomposition is our fragmentation, leaching, catabolism, and then the humidification, and then the mineralization.
Come on, continue.
And then the detrivorous are the organisms which decomposes, and then they follow the fragmentation. Fragmentation is a breakdown of the detritus into smaller particles, and then followed by
Yes,
the
yes,
leaching
yes.
process.
Good, good, Rakesh, good. Okay, next.
The water soluble inorganic nutrients go deep into the soil horizon and get precipitated. This is called as leaching.
Yes. Okay, continue. Janani.
Some fungal enzymes and bacteria degrade into simpler inorganic substances called catabolism.
Okay, yes, next.
Sir, me only.
Anyone else? No. Thank you. Good, good, Janani.
It is followed by humidification, which further leads to decomposition. Humidification is accumulation of amorphous substance, dark colored substance called humus.
Hmm.
It is rich in microbial actions.
Hmm.
And decomposition is uh, extremely slow reaction,
Then.
and further
Yeah, okay, 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 okay. Yes. Next one. Next. Good. Nodi, Namrata.
Sir, humus is further degraded and the microbes which are released, this process is known as mineralization, which
Mineralization. Okay,
then leads
Jyoti, continue. Yeah.
which then leads to decomposition. Um and decomposition is an oxygen requiring process. Um,
When decomposition is so faster, when decomposition is slower. Jyoti.
yes, sir. Decomposition rate is slower if the detritus is rich in lignin and chitin, and quicker if detritus is rich in nitrogen and water soluble substances.
Good, Jyoti. Yes, next. Ananda Tirtha. No voice.
So climatic factors like temperature and soil moisture are most important to regulate decomposition, sir.
Otherwise, what will happen?
Otherwise, it will not completely decompose.
Under low temperature and anaerobic.
Deficient in soil moisture.
Okay. Now let us continue. Hey, I have not put my video so far.
No, sir.
Oh, none of you said. You never wanted. You don't want to see my angry face. Okay, good, enjoy. So now we should continue. Energy flow. Right? What is this energy flow? Where it flows? Where it is produced? First of all, who is the producer? Except for the deep sea hydrothermal ecosystem. What is the deep sea hydrothermal ecosystem? It is the ecosystem that exists at the very, very depth of the ocean, deep in the ocean. Except for the deep sea, invariably it is a dark sea, no light at all. Except for the deep sea hydrothermal ecosystem, where you come across hottest springs, just like volcanic eruption. Except for the deep sea hydrothermal ecosystem where the temperature is more than 100 degrees centigrade, sun is the only source of energy for all ecosystems on earth. Sun is the only source of energy for all ecosystems on earth. The deep sea is the largest, I will tell about it, then I will go ahead. The deep sea is the largest ecosystem on earth, with approximately 50% of the surface of earth covered by ocean more than 3,000 meters deep. 3,000 meters deep. Approximately 50% of the surface of the earth covered by ocean more than 3,000 meters deep. Beyond 500 meters of depth, your light won't penetrate. You are seeing here most of the 50% of the sea. Where is sea? Ocean is more than 300 meters deep. These ecosystems are characterized by absence of light, increasing pressure with depth, increasing pressure with depth as you go deeper and deeper and deeper, more and more pressure, and low temperature water with some exception. Low temperature water. Here and there, you come across hydrothermal vents, otherwise low temperature water. Can you see here? This is what hydrothermal vent inside the sea at different depths. Imagine if all such eruption is there, volcanic eruption, resulting in hydrothermal vents, very, very hot condition. In spite of this, here you come across some bacteria to survive. Bacteria will be there. And there are some animals also which got adjusted for that. Except this. In all region, we have sun as the source of solar energy. Yeah. Am I right? We have to start from here. Am I right in your book?
Yes, sir.
Of the incident solar radiation. What do you mean by incident solar radiation? Anyone? Physics students? Tell me. Of the incident solar radiation. What is that? What do you mean by incident solar radiation? Anyone? Incident solar radiation is one. Solar radiation is sunlight. The sunlight which strikes the object, it is called incident ray. The sun ray which strikes an object, it may be your rock surface, it may be a plant surface, whatever it may be. Of the incident solar radiation, that means of the light that strikes on the surface of any plant, less than 50% of it is photosynthetically active radiation, PAR. Less than 50% of it is photosynthetically active radiation. Always ask a question, what is PAR? Less than 50%. That means whatever the light that strikes on the plant surface, much of that is reflected back. It is not at all absorbed. Less than 50% of it is photosynthetically active radiation. Let us see that. Is it that? Whatever that is photosynthetically active, is it that all are made used by the plants? No. We know that plants and photosynthetic and chemosynthetic bacteria, photosynthetic bacteria make use of light as the source of energy. Chemosynthetic bacteria make use of chemical as the source of energy. We know that the plants and photosynthetic chemosynthetic bacteria, these are together called autotrophs, fix sun's radiant energy to make food from simple inorganic materials. So either light is required or chemical is required by the bacteria to make food from simple inorganic materials. Now, plants capture only 2 to 10% of the PAR. Out of this, only 2 to 10%, less than 50% is a PAR. Out of that, only 2 to 10% of PAR is captured by the plants, and this small amount of energy sustains the entire living world. The entire living world is staying on that, is depending on that. What is that? I shall repeat again. Whatever the light energy that strikes the plant surface, less than 50% is a photosynthetically active radiation. Out of that, only 2 to 10% is actually the plants make use for photosynthesis. Jayasri, have you understood?
Yes, sir.
Have you understood?
Yes, sir.
Shall we move ahead? Sarutam? So, it is very important to know how the solar energy captured by the plants flows through different organisms of an ecosystem. Now we know it is the plants that convert this solar energy into chemical energy or food energy. We are now looking into how the solar energy captured by plants flows through different organisms of an ecosystem. Further, ecosystems are not exempt from second law of thermodynamics. You know now what is the first law of thermodynamics? What is the second law of thermodynamics? Energy can neither be created nor destroyed. Which law? Which law? Which law?
First law.
Energy can neither be created nor destroyed. And whenever this energy transformation takes place, there is always a degradation of the energy. Which law? Which law? Which law? So, they need a constant supply of energy to synthesize the molecules they capture to counteract the universal tendency towards increasing disorderliness. Where you come across increasing disorderliness? In the first law or second law? First law or second law?
Second law.
Yeah. The first law of thermodynamics is a version of the law of conservation of energy adapted for thermodynamic system. The law of conservation of energy states that the total energy in an isolated ecosystem is constant. Energy can be transformed from one form to another but it cannot be created nor destroyed. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed, first law. But energy can be transformed from one form to another form. And during that transfer, there will be always a disorderliness. The second law of thermodynamics says that when energy changes from one form to another form, or matter moves freely, entropy increases, disorderliness increases. I hope you know this better than me. Am I right? Tati, Sarvata, Charan,
Yes, sir.
Chinmayi,
Yes, sir.
differences in temperature,
Yes, sir.
pressure, and density tend to even out horizontally after a while. Let us see that. The green plant in ecosystem terminology are called producer. Green plants are producers. Green plants are the producer. Right? In a terrestrial ecosystem, the major producers are herbaceous and woody plants. Herbaceous and woody plants. Woody plants means tall trees, bulky trees. They are the major producer. Where in terrestrial ecosystem. Likewise, primary producers in an aquatic ecosystem are various species like a phytoplankton, algae, and higher plants. What are these phytoplanktons? Aisha, have you come? Blissy, Kanisa,
Yes, sir.
you came. Good. What are the phytoplanktons? What are the phytoplanktons?
Microscopic
Microscopic
floating
free
plants.
floating plants.
Microscopic free floating organism, plant organism. So, you must know that a primary producers in an aquatic ecosystem are phytoplankton, algae, and higher plants, aquatic plants. You have read about food chain and food webs that exist in nature. Otherwise, what is the food chain? You know, in an ecosystem, one organism eats another organism, and one organism, the same organism, is eaten by another organism. This is the food chain. In a food chain, each and every organism becomes the food for another organism. Each and every organism, it will be the food for another organism. At the same time, it is feeding on another organism. These three organism link is the food chain. Food chain. Here is a simple food chain. In a grassland, grasses are the producers. These grasses are eaten by grasshopper. It is the primary consumer. Grasshopper is eaten by bird. Bird is eaten by snake. Snake is eaten by owl. And these together form food chain. Right? Another food chain. One more food chain. Ocean food chain. Phytoplankton, free floating organisms are the producers. They are eaten by zooplankton. They are eaten by fish larvae. They are eaten by small fishes. They are eaten by predator like this fish or man. So this is sort of food chain that you come across. Interconnected food chain is a food web. In nature, you can't expect one particular animal to feed on that particular animal only. You can't expect this tiger to always eat a deer. Sometimes it may eat a rabbit also. So, interlinked food chain is always called food web. You see different types of animals are interlinked. A mango or a flowering plant gets visited by butterfly for the nectar and all. This butterfly may be eaten when it is sitting down, it may be eaten by the frog, or it may be eaten by, I don't think that a dragonfly eats butterfly, maybe wrong. It may be eaten by a bird. Bird may be eaten by when it's sitting down, it may be eaten by wolf. Wolf may be eaten by python, or wolf may be eaten by eagles. So in this interconnected food chain is always referred to as food web. Now, let us look into that. Starting from plants, plants are always producers. Starting from the plants or producers, food chains or rather food webs are formed such that an animal feeds on a plant or on another animal and in turn is food for another one. This is food chain. A food chain is one where an animal feeds on a plant or another animal and in turn is food for another. This food chain or food web is formed because of this interdependency. Each and every animal is dependent on another animal for its food. It becomes food for one more animal. No energy that is trapped into an organism remains in it forever. Very important sentence. No energy that is trapped into an organism remains in it forever. You may ask, sir, energy that is trapped in the human body, is it that it remains in him only? What is your answer? Pratiraj? Now,
No,
we
sir.
have been grown by eating the solid food. Don't you think that the energy got trapped in you and is remaining here and not that a tiger is going to come and eat you? Prithvi, are you there?
Yes, sir.
What is the answer?
No, sir.
What is that? No.
It won't stay in me, sir.
Then where it goes? Where it goes from you? Anyone? Anyone? Hello? Quick! Now we are the great. I think Blessy has come. Blessy?
Yes, sir.
How I know that you have come?
I said I'm there, sir, when you asked.
Is it? No, at that time I did not hear. But I can make out to the sound that is produced while you are coming. Come on, what is the answer? Then Aisha must be there. Aisha? Blessy, come on. Is it not that now whenever you eat a fish, the energy gets trapped in your body? It won't go from your body out?
No, sir, we do various works and stuff.
That's all. Now, from the plants, the energy goes to the herbivore. From the herbivore, it goes to the carnivore. And you are at the highest level in that energy flow. Don't you think that energy got trapped in your body? Prati, you have kept quiet. It won't remain in the body of an organism. From there, it goes to some place. Where it is, I'm asking you. The energy trapped by the producer is passed on to a consumer or to the organism, to the or to the decomposer, when the organism dies. You please add this in your book. Either it is passed on to a consumer or to the decomposer when the organism dies. Do you have anything there? Do you have anything, any word there in your book? Or it is like this only?
Yes, sir, same like that.
Huh? Whether this sentence appears complete? The energy trapped by the producer, hence is either passed on to a consumer or the organism dies. Whether this sentence makes any sense? No. So add here, pass on to a consumer or to the organism, to the decomposer when the organism dies. Death of the organism is the beginning of the detritus food chain. Detritus food chain is called detritus food chain, DFC. Pratik, it won't get trapped in our body. Bless you, it won't get trapped in our body. When we die, energy passes on to decomposers. You may say, sir, we are not allowing it for the decomposer. Before that, we bury the body or we cremate the body. Even before you cremate the body, decomposers, they start the decomposition the moment the animal dies, within fraction of minute. Death means it is the beginning of the decomposition. I hope you understood.
Yes, sir.
All animals depend on plants, directly or indirectly. What do you mean by this? All animals depend on plants directly or indirectly. What do you mean by directly? What do you mean indirectly? Nadira, open your mouth today. Nadira, are you there or have you gone?
Yes, sir.
Come on. What is directly and indirectly?
Directly means the primary consumer, sir.
Indirectly means secondary consumer. All animals depend on plants. Herbivores are called directly consumer, directly dependent on the plant, and carnivores are considered indirectly dependent on plant. All animals depend on plants directly or indirectly for their food needs. They are hence called consumers. And also heterotrophs. What do you mean by heterotrophs? I will another day some easy term. What is heterotrophs? Autotrophs, heterotrophs. What is meant by autotrophs?
The organisms prepare their own food.
One word. One word. Have I not told this?
Producers.
Hey, one word. Autotrophs, self-nourishing. Heterotrophs, I did tell on the other day, autotrophs are the organisms which nourish themselves, self-nourishing. Heterotrophs are others nourishing. They are nourished by others. So, these which depend on plants for the food, directly or indirectly, are called consumers and are also heterotrophs. Heterotrophs means the individuals which are nourished by others nourishing. If they feed on the producer, the plants, they are called primary consumer. If the animals eat other animals, which in turn eat the plant, then they are called secondary consumer. Primary consumer, secondary consumer. Deer is
Secondary consumer.
Secondary.
Very good. Who said it? Deer is secondary consumer. ಯಾರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು?
Primary consumer.
Primary.
ಹಲೋ, ಯಾರಪ್ಪ ಡೀರ್? ಅದೇನ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಕನ್ಸ್ಯೂಮರ್?
No, sir.
ಯಾರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು?
Chinmay, sir. Chinmay.
ಡೀರ್ ಸೆಕೆಂಡರಿ?
No, sir. Primary.
ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಕನ್ಸ್ಯೂಮರ್ ಯಾವುದು? ವಿಜಯ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಕನ್ಸ್ಯೂಮರ್?
Man.
Lion.
You shoot deer. Chinmay, Okay? Tiger, lion, or wool, etc. secondary consumer. Likewise, you could have tertiary consumer also. Now I say grass or herbs, rabbit, wolf, tiger. Who is the primary consumer here?
Rabbit.
Rabbit.
Primary consumer, rabbit. Second consumer,
Wolf.
tertiary consumer,
Tiger.
tiger. So here you have it. Obviously, the primary consumers are herbivore. They are herbivore because they feed on herbs. Some common herbivores are insects, birds, mammals in the terrestrial ecosystem, mollusks in aquatic ecosystem. Some of the mollusks are herbivores. If you look into slug, if you look into snail, some of these are herbivores. The consumers that feed on these herbivores are carnivores. More correctly, primary carnivore, though they are secondary consumer. Okay? Okay? They are a primary carnivore. Wolf is a, here in our example, deer is or a rabbit is primary consumer. Also, rabbit is also
Herbivorous.
it is a herbivore. Wolf is
Secondary consumer.
Secondary consumer.
second consumer.
Carnivore.
Also
Carnivore.
carnivore. Tiger is
Tertiary consumer.
Secondary carnivore.
secondary carnivore, tertiary consumer. Okay? Okay. So a simple grazing food chain, GFC. What is the DFC?
Grazing food chain.
DFC? Detritus food chain.
Detritus food chain.
GFC? Grazing food chain. A simple grazing food chain is grass producer, goat primary consumer, man secondary consumer. Simple grazing food chain is like this. Look here. Soil. These are the primary producer. Herbivores, primary consumer, carnivores, secondary consumer, and top carnivores, tertiary consumer. Right? Okay? You can see here different food chains, interconnected food web. The detritus food chain begins with dead organic matter. So it is made up of decomposers, which are heterotrophic organisms, mainly fungi and bacteria. You must remember, decomposers mainly include fungi and bacteria. They meet their energy and nutrient requirements by degrading dead organic matter or detritus. By acting upon the detritus, by eating, feeding on the detritus, they get the energy. That's why they feed. And thereby, they convert these organic substances into simple inorganic substances. They are also known as saprotrophs. Sapro means to decompose. Decomposers secrete digestive enzymes that break down dead and waste materials into simple inorganic material, which are subsequently absorbed by them, and rest of that are absorbed by the plants at the time of photosynthesis. Right? In an aquatic ecosystem, grazing food chain is a major way of energy flow. In an aquatic ecosystem, you hardly come across a detritus food chain. It is mainly grazing food chain. Of course, there is a detritus food chain also, no doubt. But in an aquatic ecosystem, grazing food chain is a major conduit for energy flow, right? This is just a grazing food chain, but not in aquatic. As against this, in terrestrial ecosystem, a much larger fraction of energy flows through detritus food chain. Why? Why? Because in terrestrial ecosystem, plant, the producers when they die, they are acted upon by decomposers. When the herbivores they die, they are acted upon by decomposers. When the secondary consumer they die, they are acted upon decomposition. Therefore, in a terrestrial ecosystem, much fraction of energy flows through detritus food chain than grazing food chain. Detritus food chain may be connected with the grazing food chain sometimes at some level. Some of the organisms of the detritus food chain are prey to the grazing food chain. You know, I'll show you. And in a natural ecosystem, some animals like a cockroach, or crows, etc., are omnivores. They feed on plant material, they feed on animal material also, they are omnivores. These natural interconnection with food chain make it a food web. So remember, sometimes you see some of them, they come in both grazing food chain and the detritus food chain. Look here. This is what I have, dead leaf. Dead leaves are eaten by woodlouse. Woodlouse is eaten by bird. So here it is a detritus food chain. But when this bird eats it, it is a grazing food chain. So many times the grazing food chain and the detritus food chain, they get a club combined. And you can see here, these are all, this is what the grazing food chain, producer, eaten by rat, eaten by the snake, eaten by the bird. When all these die, you see at each level, the decomposers come into picture. So detritus food chain is has a bigger role in a terrestrial ecosystem than the grazing food chain, right? Right? So we are going to study from here in the next class.